watching YouTube. I'm Zachary Fowler, and this is a review of Alone Season 5, Episode 1 live right now. If you are just tuning in on the replay, you can watch this with the sound off and listen to it like a podcast if you are a YouTube Red subscriber. But at 10 minutes in, I will be going over how to remove a fish hook. I'm not going to jab them into my arm like some people have done for videos. So we got a piece of chicken breast. I'm going to show you 5 different ways with my everyday carry and some other stuff that you can use to remove a fish hook if you do get one stuck in you. And some really easy ways, amazing ways. But if you have the right tools for it. Carleigh, we'll get to that, was in a difficult situation. Hello, FedEx guy. Bringing me goodies while I'm making a video here. So, She didn't have a lot of the stuff we're going to use here to remove the hooks, so definitely give her some grace. And I want you to know that I'm doing a review just like anybody else who sits on their couch as a couch critic of the show. I just watched episode 1 there of Alone Season 5, and so I may have a little bit more knowledge base than you guys, but I'm only seeing what you see. 1 hour of 4 people's adventure, the first 5 days of their adventure. So I can only speak to what I've seen there and speculate at why they didn't do this, that, the other thing. And so after we go over the fish hooks, I will get into a Q&A with you guys, and we'll answer some questions about your speculations about how the show is going to go and what's going to happen. So let's talk until minute 10, and then we'll look at the fish hook situation. So we see 10 people here, they're getting their second chance at the show, and I'm getting the feeling like there's going to be a lot of post-traumatic stress popping up that's going to make it very hard for these guys to go a long time. And that was my concern if I go on to the show, is will I get out there and go through a post-traumatic stress thing that takes me out of the game sooner than I would like to? Will I get out there in the weight of the loneliness and knowing? And you hear Sam saying it already, and that I was not surprised to see him coming to tears in that first couple of days, because the weight of that when you get back out there and the loneliness and knowing, his quotes is like 50 something days, how many days was Sam? 55 days. He's like 55 days, it's like already he feels like he's got that weight of 55 days on his shoulder that he's got to get to at least to beat his own record from before. That's a hard thing. I think just like all the seasons, we're going to see a lot of people going at the beginning, and then the rest will be settled in, and they'll go along and work really hard, and then at the end it'll take a lot more amount in a shorter period of time. So it'll be a lot at the beginning, and then a lot at the end, and then we got animals. They have mentioned and showed clips of all kinds of animals out there in Mongolia. It looks insane. I don't know that they'll have as many encounters as they had in previous seasons. It already looks like, they're up to day 5 with a couple of people, and they haven't had encounters. They've had like noises in the night and stuff. There's supposed to be a lot more game there from what I've been hearing rumor-wise. So I don't know anything more than you guys know. I don't know who's left at what point. I haven't talked to the others for the very purpose of not wanting to have any inside info. I just want to be able to enjoy the show like you guys do when I watch it. I enjoyed it the first time I saw Alone Season 1 and Alan and Sam and those guys, and and so it's like this. It means so much more to me now that I've survived 87 days alone, and so I will be biting my nails the whole time, wondering, is it somebody gonna beat my record? Will I still be the record holder? And is it exactly fair if they don't beat my record? Because the conditions there appear to be heading in a direction of slightly more harsh than Patagonia. But at the same time, it's apples and oranges, because in Mongolia, there appears to be an opportunity for far more food than there ever was in Vancouver Island, and far more food than there ever was in Patagonia, which was the amount of food was ridiculously low in Patagonia. There was no large game. They had all left the upper mountains during the winter time. The boar that was supposed to be there, we heard 1 or 2 times in the night. Dave had it on his camera. He heard him a couple times, but never was able to get close to him. Not the kind of game that you need to be able to find a trail that they're constantly traveling and harvest them. So that doesn't work. and it appears to be that there's said to be a lot more game out there in Mongolia. So that'll be interesting to see if they can harvest more game and start surviving better and thriving, not just like surviving. And one of the things I noticed, Sam said that he last time was just kind of set up his shelter and waited the whole situation out. And that meant that he kind of lost his mind in season 1 when the storminess came, and it was just his shelter wasn't enough to be comfortable during that conditions, and the conditions kicked him out in the end. He felt like, and missing his family. So it was like, I remember in season 1 watching his tent flapping, and he's just like kept clipping back and forth with the flapping, and him being like frustrated with the sound of all the storms never stopping. So he realizes now he needs to muckle down and make a home. And that was my strategy for season 3. Is like, I made a home, so when it stormed like that for us, and it stormed for that whole last month, it kept storming and blowing and storming and stopped for a day and then storm and blow and blow. And because I was secure in my shelter, I might have been hungry at times, but I wasn't going nuts from the conditions because I was secure in my little home. And that's going to be important for them, I think, this time, which looks like it may be a problem because there's not a lot of resources. So what are they going to do? I don't know. It's a completely new game. I think that's going to make it extremely interesting. Carleigh, oh man, I feel for her. She was rocking it the first couple days, nailing the fish, doing so amazing, catching all that fish. And then we see Jesse. I don't know if you guys saw it. I can't remember if it was in the first episode, the making the cut or whatever they call that. You see the size of his ferro rod? It was like bigger than my thumb. It was like an inch diameter ferro rod. He has no intention of wearing out his no way of him wearing out his ferro rod, even if he was there a year. That was amazing. I'm like, man, I like that ferro rod. I want to get me one of them. And Nicole, I don't know if you saw it, but she was wearing the fairly famous now, I think, WAZOO survival necklace there, the fire starter necklace, which I always wear. And I thought that was pretty funny. I've seen a lot of people with Instagram posts and have it. And you can get that link below. Any of the WAZOO stuff, either on my website and whatever I don't carry from WAZOO, like this cash cap, which has like another fire starter up inside of here, and another one right there, the ceramic knife folder. These things we love as survivalists and or just hoarders of survival gear to have as much stuff on us as possible so that no matter what the situation, we're good to go. And I love this hat. This thing's cool. You can get, I don't have this on my store, but it's there in the WAZOO link down below. And so enough of the plugs, shameless plug, hashtag. We got all kinds of interesting characters out there this time. They're giving Brooke another chance. We got 2 guys here. We got Randy with the lost his ferro rod before, but managed to recover by making a bow drill. I think it's going to be an amazing season. Probably the best, season outside of season 3. The best season we've ever seen because the conditions in Mongolia are amazing. The opportunity for large amounts of food and seeing a thrival situation is going to be off the charts. It's going to be awesome. And Larry, these guys have been out there before. They either going to break from like getting a PTSD situation and or they're going to like blow up with just creativity and just knocking out an awesome experience for themselves and for us to watch. It's going to be awesome. Nicole, I wonder about Nicole. She's got MS. I'm not too certain about all of the details of MS and all that entails, but it sounds like she's got it all in hand with her medicine, that she's been off medical medicine from what I heard and doing it all with herbal. And she is an amazing herbalist. But at the same time, as you starve and you're lacking on all your other minerals and nutrients, if they can get all the electrolytes and things that they need out of fish head soup and stuff like that, and or other bone broths from catching bigger things, that's where Britt brought wire, and I think it was Britt that brought wire for snares. or Dave. Dave brought wire for snare. I don't know if anybody else did, but I think that's going to be in a place where you have a chance to catch more mammals that are around. That wire snare could be very, very important so that they can make small rodent or small mammal stews and be able to get the bone broth and get as much electrolytes as possible. That's why I did so well by fish head soup 3 times a day, just cooking it, boiling it, getting all the possible electrolytes. I felt strong at the end of my 87 days. So I think we have a lot to look forward to from these guys because they've been out there before. And then we got the wild cards of, what was it? Where is it? I can't remember their names because they were only Jesse and Brad? Season 4. Yeah, Brad. I mean, Brad's only 24, so he could have a lot of gumption in it. We don't know. We haven't seen what he's done. We know that they've said that he does this stuff all the time at home. But doing all this stuff at time at home and then being able to run home to your secure house and be comfortable and your friends and family, it's hard to say what we could see from these guys. Brad and Jesse, you know, Jesse was in it to go for the long haul. He made it 5 days of hiking and then gets to the shoreline and they tell him, I'm pretty sure it was right about to the shoreline, and they tell him that his brother had, he had twisted his ankle or wrenched his back and he was done for, and he's going home. So it's like, these guys are wild cards. There's no telling. They don't have the PTSD to have to deal with of like, I've been out here already for 5 days and I know what it hurt and how much it took out of me last time to be here for 60 or 50 days. So they don't have that to struggle with. They just have to know that they got their second chance in it and they're gonna go the distance. But what else? So I have notes here that I made, little marker board, so I can make sure I hit some points with you guys things that I noticed. Brooke is a good one. We haven't seen anything from her yet out there. Brooke's a great person and a happy person, and I feel like she's a social person, and so I wonder how long she can make it without her husband. You know, that sounds horrible. I don't want you guys to think I'm like, you know what I mean, but like without anybody, you know, like she hasn't had to do that yet in front of the camera, and I don't know how many times she might have done that in her own personal life, go out there and be alone for any long stints, but to be out there on season 4 with her husband and to do so well, even though there were, you know, 2 of them consuming that amount of fish, they lost a lot of weight and she had to go because they were hungry, and they chose to go. They didn't want to get pulled because they were getting close to that line where she might be pulled, and he didn't want to see her in such rough shape and weak, and so they chose to leave. So if she starts eating better this time and doing well, it could be the thing, but we don't know. She doesn't even probably know what it's going to be like for herself to be alone for that long, and especially when your heart is so bound up with so many others at home. It's a really hard thing. So I think we got everybody has something that like recommends them heavily to do really well this time and or to struggle. But let's get into Carleigh, and I was supposed to stop at 10 minutes and I'm just rambling on here. Carleigh and the fish hooks. That is such a tough thing. It looked like she had a trout line, I believe, because I saw as she was hauling in her fish, she had the fish and she had it up close to her, but I saw some extra line flapping around. I haven't talked to her about it, and so I'm guessing she might have had that line set as a trout line with maybe 2 or 3 other hooks on there, so there's 3 chances of catching a fish. And what might have happened is the fish jumped and broke free. That one of those second hooks that was attached to the same line set into her hand, because that thing set pretty darn deeply for, I can't imagine how the fish could have come off of it and the hook sprung back and still caught in her hand. So I'm thinking that's a second, she had 2 hooks or 3 hooks on the same line, which is called the trout line. I had a couple of those and could have easily done the same thing where you're pulling it in. I always drag mine back to the shore. Could have easily been pulling it in and the fish jumping and you're trying to get close down to the line, and one of those other hooks when the fish jumps sets in your hand. You got to be careful about that. Everything you do puts yourself in danger, and her catching a hook in her hand is not a small thing. And I think the key to dealing with hooks, first off, is one of my favorite tools that I had out there, and a lot of people are like, multi-tool, you need a fixed blade. How can you... If you got a multi-tool and you can pull a hook out easily, you got it made. So as my first method of hook removal, it's just as simple as you grab onto it and you can be able to push it down and pull it back. But sometimes you don't have, your skin isn't as thin as chicken, so it doesn't want to pull back. My second thing about getting a hook out, if it comes up through the top, instead of backing it up and ripping that barb through your flesh, let's see if I can get a good shot of it. See how that barb is? Well, with the multi-tool, there you go, see that barb? You could take the multi-tool and crimp down that barb. Boom. I just destroyed that barb. Now it's as easy as turning it around and backing it right out without any resistance. But you could also, with the multi-tool, the beauty of a multi-tool is you got nippers. Boom. You just nipped off that hook. It's now nothing more than a bent piece of metal that was stuck in your arm. So she didn't have a multi-tool. I think she might have even said something about, you know, darn, if I only had a multi-tool. So the other way, and these are really big hooks. I believe she had something that looked more like the size of this for a hook. We'll get onto that in a sec. But let's stick another one in and say we didn't have, now this one's in, it's dug down in, and the way hers was dug down, it was dug in deep, her hook. To remove a hook like this, and what she was trying to do is trying to press down on it and pull back just like I did with the multi-tool. But it's not coming out. She has to do it all with the opposite hand. And my thinking is that something that I didn't see her try, I don't know that she didn't try it, because she said she felt it tugging on her thumb, and so it might have been into the cartilage, and she hooked herself really good, and she just didn't want to risk hurting her hand. Is I take my WAZOO necklace here, or you could take a paracord or another piece of fishing line, you put it in. Let me see if I can get the right angle for you so I can do it. Alright, so we got the fishing hook. It's stuck into the meat of your hand. Now, as if this is my hand, it's stuck into here. I'll put the fishing hook behind it, and you would tie this to a tree, right? And then, but in this situation, I'll be able to hold it in that way. When you're pulling, this is hooked to a tree, you're able to pull and push down on this end. So as you're pulling, it keeps this end down and pulls up on it. For this situation, I'll pull just like this. I get the hook down low and give her a yank, and out comes the hook. I'll see if I could do that again slower. It will do some damage to you because of the barb that's on there. It will do some damage, and you'll want to heal. Oop. There is still a barb. You put that hook is stuck into you good. But you tie with the loop over it. This goes around a tree branch, and you're able to, say this is the hand it's stuck in, you're able to hold on here, and you can pull away from it. For this situation right here in the house, I can only go like this with one hand to brace it down. You push down on that hook, and you just, boom, it pulls it right out. So that makes it look easy. And on my third next way is we got a new little toy here. GrimWorks is coming out with a medical card, medical dog tag, right here. Let's open that up. Let's see if we can't use this. With the medical dog tag from Grim, see it has a tick key right here. Oh, let's see if we can get it to focus. So the medical dog tag from GrimWorks has tweezers, sewing needle, and that's a tick key. So you can slip it in under the tick and pop a tick up and out. So if you can't easily, you got the fish hook in. If you can't easily pull it out, and you're not going to go about it pulling it out, you can always put your card or something hard underneath of it and pin down that behind the card and push it up and forward. The key is always to whenever you have that hook stuck in something, you got to get that tip down. You see her working on the shelf, pushing that tip down and pushing it back so that barb is as disengaged as much as possible. Or, worst case scenario, the barb comes back up and through. The last way is like the most aggressive way. So the hook is in her, somebody like this. You pull on the hook till you get the tip. Whoa, piece of chicken. You pull on the hook so you get the tip to come up through. So now you got the tip up through, and you can snip off the eye from this end, and then you pull it through from the barbed end all the way through, so that you're not dragging the barbs backwards. And I don't know, I could probably think of a ton of other ways. If it's lightly into your flesh, you could also take your knife and cut it, your flesh. Say it's just under the surface and that barb isn't working. I don't know that I'd want to go about it this way, but you could pull up on it and just cut along the side of the hook so it pulls straight out, which is pretty nasty. But by doing so though, while you're out there in a situation like this, you could boil some water after. You'd be able to open up the wound and flush it continually with some water, and then you'd be able to put clean materials, clean wrap on it with a med kit. Now they do have a little med kit with them, unless they removed that, which is an option which they gave us as an option. And so there is a good number of little things in there that you could use too. This is the one I carry. You can get these on my Amazon store. They're just, I don't know, I think I paid like 14 bucks for it, but I looked for the reviews a lot because basically this is a Band-Aid kit for my kids. I'm not gonna go stitching them back together. It's just a really good kit with lots of different type of Band-Aids and wraps and little scissors. And I think once I clean the chicken off of this, I'm gonna keep the Grim tweezer card, sewing needle for like picking out slivers, and it's got a little saw edge and the tick card in here because this goes with us everywhere. Because the kids, they love to hurt themselves. Got a little bit of moleskin. There is, what was I gonna say? And in here, this is close to the basic of what they had, you know, it's minus the cold pack and some stuff like that, some Band-Aids and some antibiotic gel. I think they got one tube of antibiotic gel or something, and a couple Band-Aids and like one little roll of tape. And all of this stuff that's in their kits while they're out there on loan is, they're said you're not allowed to use that for survival purposes. It's for keeping your wounds clean if there is something that happens. And when they come for those very sporadic, very not so often med checks, they will check on whatever you got going on for, you're supposed to report it. And I think my one other way that I cannot test to remove a hook, that the only other way that Carleigh could have tried, she could have tried the necklace string idea, pulling it out and risking damaging some stuff and doing your best to like keep that hook pinned down and just yank her out and go for it, go for broke. The only other way that I could think that might have done something would be as if she just left it in there, wrapped it really good with plantain, and waited till it festered enough like a sliver where you might be able to just give it a squeeze and back it out lightly with the pus because your body would reject it. But that risks getting a blood infection, different things like that. Your hand, she could have been dealing with a lot of swollenness, and that was her main hand. So it could have meant that she would have lots of difficulties to prevent her from doing her other day-to-day chores. And also, the odds are that when they came from a med check at some point, they would have pulled her if she hadn't dealt with it and removed it and shown that she was healing. So she was in a really difficult situation. I think the stress of everything, I don't see that she's done anything wrong. That you know, she did what she had to do. And you know, I being a guy, like most guys, probably would have ripped the thing right out at some point, and then called for medical help when we couldn't stop bleeding, kind of situation. But that's not in her nature. She survives with such beauty and such grace that you know, and did such an amazing job the last time, 86 days. I think the stress of all that gets to you. You're alone, something like that stuck in your hand, and not wanting to come out. It's just too much to bear, you know, and nobody can understand that unless you've been through that before. the PTSD that's going to hit every single one of them that's been out there for any period of time is going to pull them down. That is going to be the hardest thing they have to fight. You know, it's easy for us to all to say that we had such a beautiful, glorious time, but you see us out there on the show every season where all of us are at some point are in tears. We're brokenhearted at the loneliness and the missing the family and the heartache. And you know, that heartache drew me back close to God and changed a lot of my life because of it, and for the better. And everybody I think has found something that has come out of it for the better with their experience. But at the same time, there is a stress and a something that it does to you while you're out there. And when I came back, they said that I looked feral for the first 12 hours after they pulled me out. They said there is a savageness to your eyes that Jamie had said that she had never seen before, and just scared her a bit, and it was like, it was still there for a while to a degree. I came home and I was in Vermont and I saw a squirrel and I was just like, whoop-ah, with my slingshot, and I'm out there skinning it on the porch, and my parents are like, what are you doing? So it takes a toll on you, no matter how much we enjoyed it and we got tons of benefit out of it. It takes a toll on you, and I think we'll see that a lot more this season than we have any of the other seasons, because they don't know the lengths that it takes to go through to make it to that 86 days like Carleigh did, or the lengths it takes to go to make it 50-something days, and that stress as those guys start to come closer or realize those numbers of days are so far off, and they're thinking to themselves that somebody's eating better because there's a lot of game and they've seen a lot of game, is going to be so heavy upon their shoulders. So why don't we open it for questions now? If you've got a question, you've already dropped it and I missed it, leave it again in the comments here and I will answer your questions now. Leave it with a double question mark so I can read it and get into it easily. You know me, I'm a slow reader, so forgive me if it takes a little bit to pick up on your questions. And be sure to look in the links below for WAZOO survival gear. You'll be seeing a lot of that. You always see a lot of that on my channel. And if you want to get yourself one of these cash caps or fire starter necklaces, things like that, you can get them on my website. And the ones that I don't sell from WAZOO, you can get on their website through my affiliate links down below, as well as the survival cards you've seen me using in the fog gigging thing. And I keep them in my everyday carry in my wallet just in case I get a chance to stop and go fishing. So there's a bunch of links below for that survival gear and or 5-coal survival that and some other ones that have provided me with stuff to use in my videos. And yeehaw, also slingshots if you guys are into that, which you don't know me at all, then you know I am heavily into slingshots. I love my slingshots. And so I looked for Trick Shot Tuesdays, the slingshot competition. I did pretty good. Did pretty good for my first slingshot. I choked too, a good deal on a couple of the things. I choked heavily, but I still did pretty good score-wise. So I can't wait till next year. I'm gonna have to start doing some live shooting with you guys, so that I can work up my nerves to shoot in front of other people. Your predicted winner of... You know what? I don't have a predicted winner. I can't predict one person over the other because I love these guys and my heart is with them as they survive in the struggle. It almost brought me to tears watching Sam miss his family, right off the bat, because he's thinking, it's gonna take so long, it'll be here so long. And, it's like, I know what that feels like. So, I think if anything, I want to see Sam win because I want to see him to be able to succeed so he can continue to take care of his family. And, they got a new baby and, it's like, I want to see him succeed so he can win. Not because I think that he's got a better chance than some of the other guys. He does have the 11th survival ration, which everybody knows that Fowler made the most of there when he was out in Patagonia, by your 11th survival ration, which I still have not put back. I have not stored back up again here. So unfortunately, I am not prepared for another season. It looks like Carleigh packed on a couple extra pounds in preparing, or was not hesitant to weigh a little bit more before she went in, and then wasn't able to use those because she wasn't there long enough. She looks great now. I've seen pictures of her. She's always happy though. She's a beautiful survival woman. amazing girl. Hopefully we get to see more from her, and this doesn't stunt her career, but just brings it all to more opportunities that we get to learn from her. She's amazing. So I don't know who will win. I just hope that Sam wins for his family's sake. What slingshot were you able to pick up at the tournament? I'll show some clips of that in my upcoming video. There's a dog in my yard. Weird dog. Okay. He could kill Bigfoot with a slingshot. I heard a story at the slingshot tournament about a guy who killed a deer with one, or he knocked the deer out and they ran over and gut it, or slit its throat. How's your ODDs on favorite this season based on making the cut in episode 1? My favorites are so far is just Sam, but I look forward to seeing just amazing stuff from all of them. I can't wait. It's just too bad the show is so darn short, and you get to see like 1 hour of show for 5 days worth of 3 people's beginning of their adventure. I mean, it's so much more I'd rather see than I'd love to see more. Right? I had OCD. I love camping, but I'm so I can stay to be clean. Do you have any advice? Being clean is a hard thing when you're out there. I gave up on being clean. I had made a giant hole that I was down by the water, so it filled in with water like a gypsy well, basically. And I put hot rocks in there, and I did my laundry in it. And then I was like, oh, I could do a bath in here in the middle of a snowstorm. So I was gonna do that in the middle of a snowstorm, and then the water rose, and you saw my dock get flooded, and I had to add more wood to it so I could get out onto my dock and get that sweet spot where I was fishing. So I was gonna put hot rocks in there and make a redneck bathtub so I could bathe back from the water's edge. So if you have a sandy area, I think you could do the same thing. You could dig a hole and a little bit on the river, like if they are there, and have a little gypsy well that was like a hot tub, redneck hot tub. Throw hot rocks in there and have a fire on each side of it. You wait for the right day when the winds are low, early in the morning or late in the evening when the winds die down, and you'd be able to throw some hot rocks in there, get it nice and warm, and jump into your gypsy well jacuzzi and be able to wash in nice warm water and use ash and water as a lye mixture to scrub yourself fairly clean. I didn't take a bath the entire time I was there. I washed my hands every day multiple times, and it wasn't a big deal after the first couple days. You just kind of went away. And I washed my clothes twice that way. I was like hot wash, cold rinse in the lake. So the hot rocks will heat up a good deal of water very quickly. I had probably about 20 gallons of water that I heated up in a gypsy well, which is dug close to another water source so that it fills in. That's how you get clean water next to a muddy pond too. You dig a hole close by so it fills in with the water that seeps through the ground. Fishing gorge. Ever heard I've heard of a fishing gorge. I've also seen that people have a hard time. They catch small fish sometimes with them, but not bigger fish. Catfish strip them fairly easily. I saw some guy in his video. If you already they're allowed 25 hooks, unless that's changed. I brought 25 hooks, and some of them were too big, I think, and I wish I had brought, instead of too big, some triple hooks. Trebles counted as 3, but I think it would still be worth having 3 trebles set on lines just below the surface where they couldn't get snagged around other things, where they were just good one bite catch a fish snaggers for overnight hooks. Do you see them taking any animals with a bow? I really hope so. I think the opportunity is there, and I mean they keep talking about there being all kinds of game. I think even if you didn't win, if you took some big game, man, you'd be the hero of the world. That nobody has ever taken any big game that really notably on a TV show when everything is on the line like this. Some guy did a surviving alone thing, a British guy. I can't remember the name of the show, and it was great. And Jamie and I saw it before we watched Alone, and it came on TV. And I think he caught a goat, but it was caught in a thicket, and he just managed to go over to it and harvested it and dried all the meat. And he was doing a couple day thing in each location just in shorts. If you would let you return, would you? in a future season. Oh, you better believe it. If they have they're gonna have a winners against winners someday, unless the show goes under completely, which I don't see happening. Naked and Afraid keeps going. Alone is awesome. People love it. It provides everything that Naked and Afraid doesn't provide, and as well as clothes. And so I think I will be back at some point once they have 10 winners. I told them, they asked me when I finished, would you come back? And I said, yeah, sure. In 10 years when you get 10 winners, they said, Alan and Dave will be so old then. I said, yeah, I know. I need every advantage I can get. They didn't quit either. So I don't want, I need every advantage. So I will be definitely going back on Alone. If I don't go on Alone, I'll go on something else at some point. Even if it's just my own show that I make for YouTube, and I take the cameras and I get a team ready that's behind the scenes, and I start feeding them footage, and they can be posting it as I'm out there surviving or something like that. Or maybe I'll build a thing up at my land. We'll do a live right from there. I'll just live out there, and you guys can pay to turn on the waterworks and different things like that, like what's that called? Hunger Games, right there out in the woods behind my house. Wonder if any of the contestants modified their multi-tools. I don't know. I haven't watched their 10 items to see if they're highlighted. It's something I mean to get to. Could you use real wild there? Could you use a you cannot use mechanical things. You can only bring fishing hooks. You can't bring lures. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody try to like replace their zipper pulls with spoons, like, or anything like that. Like if you get away with that or not. That would be interesting to see. I was thinking of my saw, taking my big buck saw still, and then cutting, like laser cutting, and sending it to GrimWorks and having them laser cut like they do for this tweezer card, which has like all kinds of different gear on here, saws, and it's just a full-on tweezer card. They all snap together. I was thinking of having like somebody like that laser cut out of my saw almost completely, like spoons and stuff like that for fishing. And so when I get there, I could just snap apart my blade, the tip of my blade, the last like 4 inches in a triangle that you don't need on your buck saw. And what am I calling it right there? Crosscut saw, not a buck saw. And snap out some fishing spoons and different materials that you could, arrowheads, whatever. I thought that would be pretty clever, but they might consider that to be not acceptable. We'll see. I'm certainly going to try like 50 different crazy things. So I'll pull one of these tweezer things off of the GrimWorks card. So they have 2 notches. This is the first time I've tried them. Let's see how well they work. Ooh, that's nice. So these go right together. They just have 2 notches. And this is out of this new tweezer card from GrimWorks. And wow, they come together so perfectly. That would definitely, till you let go of one of them, they go flying. And it becomes a weapon. So it's also a dart. You can just, that almost stuck into the wall. That would have been pretty cool. So I like this. This dog tag is definitely, I don't want to break it apart just yet. I'm going to keep this at tick puller right there in the notch, and sewing needles, and then a small pair of tweezers for pulling out good old little slivers, things like that. They haven't released it yet, but you can, the GrimWorks affiliate link is below. If you buy any Grim stuff from them, you support this YouTube channel, the same as the WAZOO and everything else down below. And my Amazon store, where you can get all the stuff you see in my videos. What about 5 winners and 5 runner-ups? 5. I can't predict stuff like that. I think it's anybody's game. I don't know. I think it's like it's just gonna be. It's gonna be what it is. There's no telling. There's so many things that everybody has going for them, and so many things that they have against them, with the whole PTSD problem and the stress of that, getting out there and stuff. You start getting hungry again, and you remember what that's like, and it's only day 20. That's going to play on you, and then the fact that you are either seeing a lot of game and not getting it, something like that, or having a lot of game but being extremely tired and everything, not working for you so well anyway or something. It's you never know what's gonna happen to you. Are you ever going to do a yo-yo and survival snare comparison? I may. Having a hard time getting out videos lately, guys. Unfortunately, it's just things just been so busy. It's like I'm looking at getting some editing help so I can up my game here. Because the more I learn how to edit, the more crazy I get with my edits. So my videos end up taking longer. So that's why I decided to do these alone season 5 reviews, and or trying to like pull something out of each of the show that's and highlight that. We talked about the fish hooks and how to remove them. I'm gonna try and do these live, so that gives me a chance to get one more video out a week. Because YouTube likes to see like 3 videos. They want to see a lot of activity if you want to grow. If you don't do it, then you don't grow. So hopefully I could start cranking out some more videos as summer comes along here as I find my stride. Will you be doing commentary on all episodes? I will do commentary on all episodes this season. If it's going well with the views and you guys really like it, I may go back to doing watching it on the couch like I did for season 4, and then teleporting somewhere. My drone is broken right now. I broke it when I was doing the alewives thing, and I found the alewives in the river looking for a spot for the water wheel, which should be out, not this Sunday because I have a special Father's Day video that I'm going to be putting out, and which I will be putting Sunday, and so next Sunday, I'm going to have, hopefully the water wheel video will be done. I found a location for it finally, and I can roast that chicken on it. So if you haven't seen it yet, check out the alewives video. That's where I finished the water wheel and stuff. And how do you think Mongolia would provide a better/worse experience for you? I think Mongolia has a lot more opportunities. More opportunities that Vancouver never had and Patagonia never had. There's a lot more game there. There's a lot more opportunities to catch bigger game with those open fieldy type areas. They have unlike Vancouver, they have a bigger line of sight. They'll be able to travel easier. They'll be able to find game trails, and they're on a water source where they can travel up and down and find where animals are coming to feed and set up a hunting blind and take something with a bow. There's so many more opportunities there as far as food-wise, but there's also so many more opportunities for harsher climate. So it's all apples and oranges. You can't say, I don't think that was one thing I didn't agree with Sam on. He said, this is the harshest, most difficult place ever. I think that is unfair to say for any season to say about one place versus the other. They each have their challenges. There wasn't any big game in Patagonia. For the most part, they all moved out during the winter time, so it was all trout. And that's hard to survive on just trout and plants, or in the dark like I was, and it's going to be hard for them when snow hits. But at the same time, snow would provide more tracking opportunities as long as your shelter is solid and you're comfortable and you found to move to a better resource of firewood and you have the materials. People have survived comfortably in those kind of conditions, since the beginning of time, without all the monitor amenities and the 10 items like we have. So it's just about them finding the right resources, utilizing them as good as possible, and providing for themselves and continuing to eat so they have the energy to go on. Do you prefer gill or fish rod? Why? I prefer a gill knot or a fishing rod. I'm not sure what you're saying there. A gill net? I think I prefer a fishing line and hooks. A gill net, I don't know if that would benefit them there, or if they were even allowed to use it. There's always restrictions that we don't see, so it's easy to say, oh, why didn't they bring this and why didn't they bring that? But we all had restrictions. There was like tons of stuff, not tons of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in Mongolia we weren't allowed to eat, like songbirds. There's going to be like that stuff like that here. You might see them. Why is she already? Nicole, if she thinks there's a bear out there, why is she chasing it off? If she's got a bow, why doesn't she shoot the bear? They might not be allowed to hunt the bear. I don't know that for sure. But Maybe they were just told they weren't allowed to tangle with bears. 5, maybe it wasn't bear season, I don't know. You need a Fowler orange hat like that one. I'm working on getting hats. Seems to be more complicated than I thought it would be. I found a cool design for a hat that had the cool camo and stuff to get a logo, regular logo. I don't know that I'll ever provide Fowler orange hats the way I made mine. And, I mean, you just don't need a bunch of gorgeous people running around with orange hats on. You know, it'd just be confusing to the world. 5 teams of 21, winner 1, keep the 1 person 10 items. So I guess that's a new idea right there. I noticed no one brought a gill net. Okay, so nobody brought a gill net. So there must be a reason for not bringing a gill net, like the fact that they're not allowed to use a gill net. I think that would be a safe enough guess. If the gill net is... Are you going on again? I will go on alone again if they ask me, which I believe they will when they do a winners against winners. Why, when you go back, what would be one place you want to go and one you would... I would not want to go somewhere hot, but I would go in a heartbeat no matter where they sent me. I would really love to go where they went to Mongolia, but more specifically up into the Taiga, up into the Russian Siberia is where I've always wanted to go. I was hoping that's where they were going to send us in the first place. If you guys haven't seen it, what's it called? Happy People, A Year in the Taiga. It's about trappers and things that were dropped off, 30 years ago in the Taiga, and they've lived there ever since. And just amazing video. I'd look that up somewhere. I don't know if you can find it on Amazon. I'll put the link below after I'm done here if I could find it. Good, check that out. Happy People, A Year in the Taiga. A beautiful video. I think it was National Geographic or something like that did it about them up in Siberia, and that's where I've always wanted to go more than anything else. It's such a deep, scary winter. It's beautiful, like Maine. I love it, which we have not had lately for like 4 years, which I'm so bumming about. Tweezers half into wall, hoping it will stick. Yeah, there's a hole in the wall where I stuck through the tweezer and it just fell back out. Otherwise I would have shown you guys. Pretty rugged little tweezers though. I like these. These little nice little tweezer card. That'll go in my tactical diaper bag right there for removing slivers from the kids. Because these feel like they're even stronger than the beauty of the Grim cards with something like this, where it's meant to be used, you want to use it more than once, is they have these sticky backs on them. So as you peel out whatever you're taking off of there, and you break it free, I could always wash this with soap and water, and I could stick these right back onto there, if I stick them right in place. I'm trying to do it well. And they go right back in there, and they stay right in place, because it's sticky. So, just like the Stick It Buddy. But this one this is a file card. Part of it is a file right there. Grim makes some of the neatest things. Unfortunately, they're not allowed to bring crazy little goodies like this out with them on the show. But those are pretty cool. Snap together tweezers. I think it should just be one set of tweezers on the card and then some other stuff. But maybe they'll do that next time. Cool little Grim cards. And the dog tag, though, that's what I was begging for a while, is a tick card. So I'll be able to see. As soon as I get a tick, I'll see how good that works right there. It looks just as solid, and it's carved at an angle, so it's definitely should be a nice puller for removing ticks right there. Just that little notch right there. You slip it over the tick and just pry up so you pop out the tick without leaving the head in there. You don't want to go at them with tweezers. Should make a video about that. That's probably be very relevant for most people. Ticks are miserable. I don't know if there was ticks there in Mongolia. I have to ask one of them. That's one thing I will have to ask them just to find out. I don't think there was. There was definitely snakes. They had a lot of snake issues. How do you look after your beard while surviving, or do you just let it go wild? I let it go wild. Yeah, I didn't try to make a beard comb or anything like that. I did sit there, you know, and like plenty of times contemplating and always going like this and stuff. So it was like, but you know what was one funny thing is after the show, I had more body hair than I've ever had in my whole life. Something about the chemical change in the body and the diet of just fish head soup and the nutrients that I got from that and the little bits of grubs and worms and things that I ate at times and the plantain leaves every day. I had more chest hair, like right here. It's not a lot right now, but that was, I never had almost even that before alone. So hormonally, somebody that's struggling with balding and they're just starting to go bald, it might actually be beneficial to them to go out and survive, or just to switch to a diet of fish head soup. You might actually regrow your hair. My beard seems like it came in thicker, and my hair felt like it came in thicker. I don't know. I felt really good after alone, and so I don't know. It's that fish head soup. It's everything a growing boy needs to grow a thicker head of hair. So if you're struggling with male pattern baldness, my suggestion is you try a diet of 87 days of fish head soup and you might regrow that balding spot. Do you like my trick shot video? I've seen it. I like it. I think I saw yours there, Toby. So when we get back around to another trick shot, inviting everybody in, I've saved all those on my last laptop so I can go back and add them and copy you guys and have some fun with that and show everybody how you pulled off a trick shot. Do you think it's a little careless they sent them to a place where the snakes are very dangerous and they don't have any anti-venom? I think that they are very dangerous, and that is some extra hype the way they worded it, because they said also that they made an airstrip. The anti-venom is available and they can get to it in time. So unless somebody hid a snake bite and let themselves into, and snake bites aren't something all snake bites aren't something you just up and die from instantly. You know what I mean? It's not like in the movies, the guy gets bit and he goes, and he's done, you know? If you can rest, lower your heart rate, not be anxious, and get to a anti-venom in time, you know, and some of them you just survive from and you can just have some neurological damage from anyway. So, you know, it's not a great thing, but I do not believe that it's as cut and dry sounding as if they're at any sort of risk. They don't do this because if they don't leave them at risk. So, if anything, maybe they just let them think that they're in a little bit more difficult situation than they really are. Or let us think that. I know that they are prepared for every eventuality and that they are not interested in seeing somebody hurt or damaged permanently on the show. I have heard, but do you ever plan on starting some blacksmithing projects on your channel? I've just communicated with somebody recently, and we are going to do a collaboration where I'm going to join him and we're going to blacksmith a slingshot, a knife, and what was the other thing? A couple things. We're going to try and blacksmith a couple things, like a slingshot for a Trick Shot Tuesday video. We'll forge a slingshot and then shoot it. That'll be fun. And forge a knife. And I had one that I thought was a really great idea. 5 bushcraft tools you could make out of a train spike. You know, like a gouge of some sort, a knife, a simple knife. I've made them before out of a train spike. Pretty much anybody could do that in a very simple fire with, you know, just a vacuum cleaner blowing on some coals, and you getting the knife in there. The material, train spikes are fairly soft. On a piece of railroad tie or even on a heavy bench vise, you can use that and forge on that to make yourself some very simple tools. I've made a hatchet before and stuff like that. It's fairly easy. A slightly large sledgehammer and some clay, and you can or some fire brick. You can make yourself a very simple forge. And so we'll talk about that and make some cool stuff and show you how you could do it very easily if it's something because everybody loves forging. Is such a magical thing, and it's really not on a basic scale. It's not unobtainable for everybody if they really want to do it, and not even all that costly. So, man, I don't know how you did it with the fish so long. I don't mind fish. Well, see, that's it. The fish and eating fish for 87 days is not that hard. Anything you eat when you're at home, like my refrigerator's right here. If I had to eat fish for a week and just fish for a week, it's like mentally, because I know the other option is there, it's so easy. But when you're out there surviving and you're eating whatever you had to eat, like, you know, Carleigh last time ate 6 fish, she said. Six fish, this many. 6 fish, and I bet she loved every last one of them, and I loved every last one of mine, and it's like eating the daily. It's not so hard when that's what your fridge is stocked with. It's like, it tastes like the most delicious thing in the world. Every single one of those fish tasted better than the one before because you were hungry, your body is craving the fats and the nutrients it needs to go on. It's the same as a fish head soup. At the beginning I'm singing my song, you know, fish head soup, too bad you taste like poop. At the end I'm like, fish head soup, you're so nourishing and beautiful and wonderful, I can't wait to drink another bowl of you. You know, like, it rhymed better than that. But the point is like, when you know that your fridge is right there and there's a chocolate cake in there and you're like doing the diet thing and you're like not eating chocolate cake, it's like whatever you got in front of you seems kind of lame, you know? But out there, it's like, oh, your taste buds change. You don't have the salts, you don't have the sugar, so you're not poisoned by all that stuff that we have in the American diet. If you look at my fridge now, you don't see any of that crap. Excuse me. You don't see any of that sugar junk. I don't have anything in there with high... Oh, I have ketchup for the kids. That might have... I bet you that has high fructose corn syrup. But other than that, as soon as I think about it, one of these days I'm gonna replace that with something better for them. Because I can't. Sometimes you just can't get kids to eat unless you give them ketchup on it. I don't know what it is about them. They're little weirdos, but I love them. But they just don't want to eat unless it has ketchup or marinara sauce on it sometimes. So, you know, I don't have anything with high fructose corn syrup or things like that. My taste buds have changed, and I don't need to put all the ridiculous, you know, barbecue sauce on everything and all this other stuff, you know. They say the Italian diet is like one of the best, but, you know, they eat pasta and pizza and stuff like that all the time. But if you look in their fridges, it's just all whole foods. There's none of that junk that's processed with 15 different things in it that you can't tell what they are. You want to eat healthy, just walk around the outside of your grocery store for the most part, and then stick with the stuff that is good everywhere else in the store. You know, the homemade things, the kombuchas and the sauerkraut and the homemade pickles. Yeah, corn syrup, so bad. I'm going to be doing a new ketogenic diet one for people that haven't seen that older video. You can scroll down, you see a skinny me and a fat me, and it talks about my 87 days and how I went down the ketogenic diet since Christmas time, and my losing the wife there, my family. I've been going through some hard times with behaving myself eating-wise at times, so I've regained a little bit of weight since Christmas. So I'm working on over the next month. I'll show you guys what that looks like, and then what a fastidious ketogenic diet can do for you within 1 month's time, how you can slim right down and control your body weight up and down, what it will be at, and I'll do an extensive video on that. And that was part of something I learned from being on alone, is that the benefits of eating the fish like that and having that kind of a diet mentally, you are so much more agile and sharp than when you have sugar as a burning for energy. When you are burning fats for energy, you're mentally, I was so crisp out there. I was remembering books. I was able to look back into books that, the tweezers, these are fun to play with. When I was able out there mentally to look back into books over time, and all right, there goes the tweezers again. I was able to look back into books, so I was mentally more agile than when your mind is stuffy and plugged up by the junk from the American diet. That's the easiest way I can say to explain it. Ketosis. That's the key there. You're in ketosis, and if you're not going to do ketosis or a ketogenic diet, don't be afraid of fat. More fats in your diet, and you're more with it, you have a bigger capability of processing mentally and being able to handle situations, being able not to freak out when you're hungry. That's the biggest thing. Not being able to freak out when you're hungry. Out there, it's going to be that thing for them is whatever they can find with the most fats as possible so that they can stay mentally agile, so they can handle the stress. Because when you're tired and you're lonely and you're missing your family and you're brokenhearted, it's 99% of the time it's going to be because your body is worn down. You need to go to sleep and think about it the next day. If you don't sleep on it and rest, my thing out there was like, we have the saying out in the boat yards, don't get dirty before 9:30 and nothing new after 2. So out there, it was a joke about being lazy, basically, right? And so out there on alone, my thing was like, I'm not gonna get dirty in the morning. I'm gonna take my time, be restful as much as possible. When I go out there, I'll work hard. I'll do what I need to do. Check my situation down by the water. Come up, do my firewood, rest, and then go back and try to do some more stuff that would add on to my situation to benefit me in catching more food for the second part of the day. And so it was like, and then I said, but okay, so I don't get dirty early, and I don't think about quitting after 2. So once you've already burnt the majority of my calories for the day, doing my firewood and doing my other stuff, prepping, and I was not allowed to think about quitting, because that's when you start to, like, if you hadn't eaten a lot, your body starts to go downhill afternoon, especially around dinner time. You're missing your family. It's the hardest because normally you're coming home from work and you're with your family, and and you're having that rest time. You get to put your feet up, depending on the lifestyle you choose to live. When we lived out in the yurt, I never got to put my feet up until 7 o'clock every night. And it's like, so you if you think about, you let yourself, I just made a decision, never gonna think about quitting and at that time of day. I could think about it again in the morning, but I'm not allowed to quit then either. So it was like, you set those parameters mentally from the beginning, and it's not an option. Which sounds silly when next trick shot video is on Tuesday, trick shot tournament. It'll be called, or something like that, with all the trick shot stuff. Hello, Jake. So that was a great first episode. I think we have some amazing stuff to look forward to with this season of Alone. I can't wait. I just hope they show us as much as possible, I think that Dave, it would be great to see if he gets something with the wire snares. I think that's a really, really, really smart decision. A wire snare, I don't know, you could do so much with that. Possibly even some sort of a fishing thing with it, where you could use some of that wire to make more hooks, possibly, and catch more fish. You could make, because it looked like it was small enough, you could probably make a couple trebles out of it. So they wouldn't have any barbs, but he might be able to increase the amount of hooks they had in the water and bring in more fish. I know exactly what you're referring to with the mental clarity. Feels amazing. It does. After fasting, sometimes you get that mental clarity like you do out surviving and stuff. You're mentally, and then you get to a certain point where you don't have enough body fat, and then you feel like you're mentally clear and you're actually just mental, I went through one day like that where I didn't have enough. The fish head soup was really weak, and then I caught a fish again the next day. I felt like God gave me every time exactly what I needed to make it through it that little bit longer, and make it to the end, bring home the win for my family. I came in late, missed the hook part. How do you remove them, push them through? I showed 5 different ways basically, there was the hook stuck in. You push down and back. You can push down with one hand and have a string here and pull back and yank it out. That was my suggestion. Is if I was in Carleigh's situation, I would have hooked a loop of a line around this to a tree, and this would be the hand that's hooked. The other hand, I would push down on it, and then I would just yank away from the tree, causing the hook to be pulled at the back edge of the hook and pull it free. Of course, this is chicken, and this is softer, and she felt like it was tugging on her thumb and did not want to risk. And I think also that it is a mistake for anybody to be out there without a multi-tool, personally. That's my opinion, and I'm an armchair critic when it comes to this, just like any other you guys, but I survived for 87 days with this very multi-tool right here, the Swiss Victorinox Swiss Army Spirit multi-tool. You can get it on my Amazon store, linked below in the description, my Amazon store. And it's the easiest way to get a fishing hook out. With this, you can pull it free like this. You can drive the hook. If it's all the way through, you can very easily take and either clip off the barb and then back it right out, no problem, or you can pinch the barb down so that way you don't destroy your fishing hook completely. You can pinch the barb down with a multi-tool. If you can push it through the rest of the way, you can pinch and crimp that barb down, and then you still have your hook, and you wouldn't have lost your hook at all, because if you snip the end off, you have no more hook, and you only have 25 hooks allowed with you out there. And then when you get it back out, you could probably even straighten that barb back out with your knife blade, because it didn't snap off when I just crimped it down now. And so there's several different ways you could go about that. She had it stuck and driven deeply into there, and I believe that was because it was a trout line. I haven't confirmed that, but she had the fish, and it was flapping around, and so there was still some extra line I saw flapping around. I think that was a second set of hooks on there, so when the fish came free, from the other hook down here, it set that hook into her hand deeply. So I think she tried her very best, and just came to the end of herself with that whole thing. And there wasn't she wasn't willing to rip it out of her hand and risk damaging her hand enough that she messed up her finger, and so she did what she had to do. Everybody, man, I can't believe how deep it went into her hand. I know. It was like literally when she showed it the first time, it was sunk all the way to the eye. Like it went down and in and up and around underneath and set itself into unbelievable brand new hooks so sharp like that. So that was was not very cool, That's just one of those things you can't really foresee. If you lift your fish, I think a big no-no all the time. She looks like she's working in a strange area, and I'm just saying for myself, the only times I ever lost fish is when I lifted them out of the water while they were still on the hooks. When you're in a survival situation, I do not think it is right you ever should lift your fish out of the water while it's on the hook, because the tension of the water flapping, they can jump free of the hook. They're slamming down and it will rip the hook free. When they're in the water, you guide a fish. That's like when you're fishing, fly fishing, you use these tiny hooks and you can't let them jump around. You literally have to glide them side to side, and you bring them in so that they're not fighting you, and you bring them in, or you let them run as needed, and you bring them in, glide them up to the shore, and drag them up onto the shore. If they're on the hook and the line's dangling and they jump around, you're going to have a chance of the hook coming free, flying back, catching you in the face, or losing your fish. And that's the only time I ever lost a fish. Early on, I lifted the line up once, and the second time towards the end of the show, I lost a fish on my one bad day that I had on the second to last episode, because I had two trout lines that each had 3 hooks, were tangled together, and the poles were stuck in, and the only way to get it out was to try to lift it up and like this, and I was going to bring it back down. And before I had the chance to, that fish jumping around like hers caused it to jump and rip itself free, and I lost a fish. So I always glided my fish in, got the poles out, and never raised the fish out of the water, and I'd glide the fish into shore and drag it up onto the rocks where I could deal with it even if it came off the hook, which I did a couple of times because it was only just barely in there. It came off the hook, but it was on the shore, and I was able to toss it back up a little further and then deal with it from there. So there's nothing worse than when you're hungry and you lose a fish, and especially when everything is on the line for there. How close were ducks to you? I only ever had the one duck there. It was like a cormorant type duck, I believe, and because he was diving down fishing all the time, and he was very far out. He never came any closer than, I don't know, 50 yards or something like that. But he would always talk to me. I thought that was kind of fun out there in Patagonia. We'd be like making a call of some sort. I can't remember what it was now. It wasn't almost reminded me of a loon call, and I would always make it back to him. Have you seen the video of them taking the hook out? Oh no, is there an after the show video? No duck eggs. There were no nesting anywhere near me, so I couldn't be harvesting any duck eggs while I was out there. Man, it would have been something to be able to harvest some eggs or something. Are you a fan of using snares, and would you do a how-to video on that? I do. See, a lot of this stuff, it's so hard now. I'm hesitant to do videos on because it's kind of lame, because there's nothing I can legally do around here when you guys say do a video. It's like to a degree. You know, I can't hunt squirrels with a slingshot here legally in Maine, so I'm going to have to go somewhere else so if I ever want to do a video on that. I can make a snare and show you how it grabbed my arm when it goes off, and I made plenty of them in Patagonia, but I never had anything ever walk through them or anywhere else that I saw out there. So I can always show them, but it's like I'm basically showing that, hey, this could work, but I can't prove it to you because I have nowhere to show off that it did work. So it kind of makes me hesitant to do it at times. But if you guys want to see it, then I'll try to do it. Why do you not shoot a duck? I didn't shoot a duck because there wasn't any. There was only one, and he was at least 50 yards away. You know, at the slingshot competition the other day, one of the targets was 25 yards, and I managed to get, I think, out of 10 shots, 7 of them into the bullseye, which is 25 yards for the slingshot one. The bullseye is like this big. No, it was like 6 into the bullseye, and then to the outer area I had, that was a little bit bigger, like a foot in diameter. I had the rest of them. So, that's a long shot. And to hit a duck, I've taken a duck before with my slingshot from a farm pond, and farm ducks that I was given permission to harvest so that they were raised. And I hit one in the head at 10 meters and took them out. I've done 2 or 3 like that. And so, 10 yards, I mean. And so that's not too terribly difficult. But they're also farm ducks that don't fly off when you first startle them. So I probably, in a real live duck situation, I would have only gotten 1 out of the 3 I'd gotten that time. Do you see any bears? There wasn't anything like that in Patagonia. I had that cougar at the beginning, and I'm going, that's a big cat. You see that in episode 1. I'll link, if you guys haven't seen season 3, I'm going to link that right down below for Amazon's season 3. Go back and watch season 3. So far, it is the best season of Alone ever, or any survival show. Not because I'm on it and I won $500,000, but because everybody that was out there built these amazing shelters and homes that they went and lived in for 80-something days, 70 days, 87 days in my situation, and 86 in Carleigh's, and that we had such an amazing adventure. It's like, if you haven't seen it, it is so far the best, I think, show that's ever been on TV as far as survival and building of shelters and stuff. Carleigh built an amazing shelter like mine. She built something that was like double walled and insulated and comfortable, and fire inside, and was just right at home down there. That's why she said, like, you got a glimpse of it in the first episode. I'm going to Bar Harbor at the end of August. Do you want to meet up? Sure, send me a message on my website. You can stop by and say hi. Take me out to lunch. We'll chat. Do you see any bears? No, I already read that one. Nature's Place Organic Ketchup. Thank you. I will look that up. Nature's Place Organic Ketchup at Hannaford's Grocery. All right. I think I might have had some of that once before, but I've mostly just been shopping at the Union Market down the road here because it's the easiest to do. Since I pedal my new bicycle, I got a new mountain bike. I've been pedaling up to the store and back and stuff, and around the block with it and stuff. I was fantastic. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. In Patagonia, were there many birds to eat or eggs? No, there wasn't any birds, except for that one bird I got with my slingshot. Let me grab my staff. So those of you guys that haven't seen this, like on the show, because you haven't watched the show, this is what I called the wizard staff, and it's the whole story right there from the beginning. My 10 items, the going around the staff here. This is the tassel from the one bird I got with my slingshot, and I put a fish head on the top for fish head soup because that's what kept me alive. Is that 63 fish and 2 birds. One I got with my slingshot. That's the tassel there from it. It was just a little sparrow, and on the show they showed the first one I got with my bird trap, and they were like, it was 20 calories. It was the same bird as I got with my slingshot. I just got 2 of them. They were just a little sparrow, 20 calories, nothing special. But so I transcribed, I wrote my whole story on here, right from the car breaking down on the side of the road, having to leave my family, my 87 days worth of hash marks, and every fish that I caught, I kept carving it into here. And then every day I carved symbols for what I achieved that day. That was the day I got the roof done on the shelter. That's what the roof beams looked like right there. And then there was whether I kept my fire going. I had to relight my fire that day. There's a little hash mark, it's hard to see. And then that day was a physical state right there. There's a brick because I went to the bathroom for the first time in like 14 days. And then that was, it was also the day I caught the bird. Oh wait, no, that was the day emotionally I was a little sad. The bird got out of my bird trap and flew away. So I wrote, that way I could tell each thing, my physical state, my emotional state, whether I kept the fire going. And so I was able to keep the track on here because of all these fire marks. At one point, once my shelter was up and set up over the hill, and I used my banking method, I was able to keep the fire going for 50 days before it finally went out one time. And that meant 3 times a day I'd put it to sleep and wake it up by banking my fire. You can see that video in my, I think it's the second most popular video I've ever made in my popular uploads list on my page, and about how to bank your fire and get it to go to sleep. And in that video alone, I got it to go to sleep for like 14 hours and opened it back up to super hot coals, and I probably could have got another 8 hours out of it. And if I rebanked it, got it going, and you could just go on forever, without using minimal firewood, and it still puts out a good deal of heat and heated my shelter every time I put it to sleep at night. Go to sleep for 10 hours at night, wake up, and open it back up and put big logs right back on it and back into flames. I didn't even need to use kindling except for once a week, maybe. Like it'd go down low enough that the coals would be just enough that I'd rake them all into one pile with chopsticks and then put some kindling on and restart it all. But it didn't go out for 50 days because of that. And I probably used half of the firewood or a third of the firewood it would take to burn it for 24 hours a day. How strong was the Wi-Fi in There was no Wi-Fi in Patagonia. It wasn't strong at all. We had the satellite phones and stuff like that you'd call in on if you wanted to quit, but that was it. Let's see. To keep track of days, 10 days you mark your stick and make a pile, and you'll each stick 10 days. Yep, you can keep track of days number of ways, I suppose. Should my wife buy me a bug out bottle for our anniversary? What do you mean, the bug out slingshot bottle? If you've been shooting slingshots already, you probably don't want the bug out bottle because it's like basically it's a starter kit, and you can just order your favorite types of slingshot bands and make your own slingshot and buy slingshot ammo and get the whole thing separately and have a bug out bottle and twice as much materials and stuff. But the bug out bottles are nice if you want to put it in your bag and you really want to use it as a bug out thing. I don't really prefer the half-inch steel that comes with the bug-out bottle. My favorite is 7/16 on Amazon. I buy it by the 5-pound pack because a bottle of half-inch steel and a bug-out bottle costs you about the same amount as buying the 10 pounds of steel on Amazon, which is just so much fun to go out in the woods and plink away at stuff for a day and you only use about a quarter of it. What is the most interesting thing you find out there? Most interesting thing I found out in Patagonia, just all the beautifulness of it. You know, the rainbow. There was one time I was sitting down and it had been raining for days, and I was just like calling out to God, like, help me to make it through this. I haven't had a fish in a couple days. The fish head soup's getting weak. You know, if I eat the grubs, then I might not catch the next fish. So I gotta choose to either eat them because I'm starving, and or put them on the hook. And I put them on the hook, and I sat there on my dock, and it cleared up, and this rainbow came out, and I remembered God's promise to Noah that He would never flood the world again. And I felt like God's promise to me, like, you know, that it's raining a lot, but I won't make this more than you can handle. You just keep going on. And so I said, as long as I still have strength in me, as long as God still gives me the strength to go on, I will never give up. I'll never surrender for my, you know, I'm doing, you know, this for my family, to see us established and safe in a new home. And I made it. I made it. They came and said, day 87, it's over. You've out-stubborned them all, my wife said. You can come home now. How does it feel to be half a millionaire? And I said, I don't even care. I just love you. I'm glad you're here. And the phone's getting down to about 7%. I'll give it a little bit longer. We'll chat, and I will hang up before my phone dies. So I think we got some amazing stuff to look forward to from these guys. I can't wait to see where their adventure there. I'm so jealous. I don't know if you can see it, but like these are jealous eyes right now. I'm like so jealous. I know the Bible says don't covet your neighbor's stuff, but man, am I coveting those campsites. Oh, being out there in Mongolia, that's, I mean, if Siberia was my first choice, Mongolia and riding the steppe and shooting bows like they got to with the Mongolian people, oh, that was my dream. One of my favorite books, who is it? Is it Bernard Cromwell, I want to say. He wrote a book series called I think the second book is called Lords of the Bow. And it's a historical fiction book about Genghis Khan and how he came down from the north and took over China and defeated the Chinese, and how their bows and the talking about their bows and how they fired them with a thumb, and the strength of the bows, and how you had to build up that strength over from a child to be, and how they could outshoot the Chinese crossbows by like double the distance, and how, you know, the Chinese would come to attack, and they could just they'd ride in on them like a buzzsaw, firing 50 arrows in a pass each man, and how fast they could shoot. It was just that was what made me love the bow originally. And then I found the slingshot, and I was like, I put down my bow, and I haven't picked it up since. I did not watch the show, but I heard you made a pig trap. Did you bait it? I baited it with fish guts, yes. I made a bunch of traps, and I never saw any hide nor hair of any of them. That made me think they had a chance of getting one, but I kept setting one more each week just in case the opportunity arose. Are you gonna watch? Watch videos like you did last year. I'm not sure if I'm gonna. I might just do them live like this, where we talk about it and then do some sort of a demonstration as to something we saw on the show live, because I have so many other important things going on right now that I've dedicated and committed my time to, like trying to do really good 87 days videos and trying to get those up to a faster release rate, as well as the Trick Shot Tuesday, which have brought about some interesting opportunities. I'm hoping, you know, to be able to bring you guys with some slingshot adventures with other big channels and or TV shows coming up over this next year. So I want to keep that ball rolling. And do you regain all your original muscle mass? I feel like I'm stronger muscle-wise. I don't think I have the same amount of muscle mass, because I'm still down in my weight by huge amounts. I'm stronger though, as far as I can run a 5K now, where I was incapable of doing that kind of stuff. So I'm stronger in more of a toned way than I was before. I never could do, you know, I weighed, what was it, 235 or whatever going into the show, and I mean, I couldn't do but like 1 pull-up, and now I can do 7. I do not have a wife anymore. She left. So, have you considered using Bankline next time you go? No, I don't think I would use Bankline. There's just too many strands inside paracord, and that's too necessary. Bankline, I love it, but having more is actually better, even if it is a pain in the neck tying stuff in it. I would love to see a video where you review all your slingshots. Greetings. I am just about to release the new slingshot and how to shoot a slingshot series. So I will do a video, and it's going to be in a private link based off of that everybody can access just through the playlist and or in the link below any slingshot video. And it'll have smaller videos based on everything slingshot. I'm just not going to put them on the main channel so they don't clutter them up. So when I do put a new one out, I'll announce it. It'll be up for a couple hours, and then it'll go private so it doesn't continue to clutter up the channel. As far as like being able to scroll down through the bigger videos, the more important videos. So there'll be one about shows about all the slingshots that I have and what is a good slingshot to pick for you and why you should pick one over the other. As well as we got new slingshots coming in from new companies. They're going to be the go-to place for all your slingshot activities. Right there on FowlersMakeRemischief.com, and look in link below for any of the stuff like WAZOO and things like that that you like, that you see me use all the time, or on my Amazon store. It's all out there and available, and anytime you shop those links or you shop my Amazon store or my website, you support this channel so I can continue to make content. Logan Pike. Dude, perfect fishing trick shot. That'll be when these trick shot ones is probably going to be the reason my channel blows up at some point, because if I do one that's like that's copies the exact name of Dude Perfect, so I'm suggested behind them in the right way, you know, and people come on and see that, and you know, that could be like, but we'll get there. And I'm down to all of this live streaming. It's taking a toll on my phone. It went from 80% to 4%, so apparently that's the limit of what I'm able to do with this phone. Be sure to check out the website here or here, depending on where it pops up. Subscribe here or here, depending on which side it pops up. And check out these videos here. YouTube thinks it's the best video you should possibly watch, or the last upload right there. Or maybe it's over here or over here, but they're right there and there. And the subscribe and the website are right there, where you can get all the fun stuff you see me playing with. And have a great day and enjoy Alone Season 5, guys. I will be watching it with you, and we'll talk about it each week on Friday afternoon, as long as everything goes well. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing, sharing, and making all your friends sit there and watch my videos over and over. It's really made a difference. Fowler out. Oh, I don't know how to say goodbye.